I want to begin with Norman Floyd Barnes. What are the latest updates you have from the U.S. administration regarding this issue? Norman Floyd Barnes.
Greetings. Uh, this morning, we wake up today uh, with a sign of relief. The president has decided not to implement the scheduled attack that was supposed to happen uh, today. That is largely due to diplomatic channels. They are communicating, talking with the Iranian authorities, which have assured the U.S. that they will not carry on the scheduled executions, and they have assured the president that they will stop killing the citizens of the country. Uh, the United States position is that we basically is going to put our military action on pause. Yesterday, everything was scheduled for a attack. Uh, Planes was moved. Air tankers was in the air. Everything was staged for a pending surgical attack. These assets are still in place, stage, uh, pending uh, additional conversations with the government of Iran. So right now the stakes are still high. The airspace was closed off by Iran. I believe they just opened it back up. Uh, the prime minister's plane from Israel was in flight. Normal procedure. They was um, left Israel, went towards Greece, and other factors around the world was in place for basically war. So again, I attribute this to the continued diplomatic conversations, the discussions, communications basically saved the world another day.
Iran would be targeting almost all American bases in the region in Middle East, and one of the biggest regions or biggest air bases would be the Al Udeid air base in Qatar, so which is very close by to the Iranian border. So an attack on Al Udeid was planned, but right now it is in a limbo, given that the last 15 days was a hot mess. This is, of course, a word described to it describes the situation. I want to understand, do you predict an attack on American bases in the Middle East? Is this very imminent? Norman Floyd Barnes.
Thank you for the question. The situation is still tense. I will say in a state of pause right now. Non-essential employees was removed from the base, removed from the region. Everything right now in the stage of readiness for a pending attack. We have delayed it, it has been paused, but we're still not clear. We still have issues going on in Iran. The protest is still going on. People are still, even though the government said they're not killing, but people are still dying. The situation with the country is still up in the air. The protests are basically without leaders. Like I said the other day, they are basically without leaders. Communication has still been cut off. So people really don't know what's going on a global sense and how the world is looking at it. They are still dealing with their issues. The issues has not been addressed with the people. So the people are still outside influence, including the United States, is encouraging the people to continue with their protests. The goal, as I see it, is basically is to bring the current regime to a point where they will say, "We had enough. We're going to step down, and we can negotiate terms of basically closure." So the movement is still going on, but I believe that there's an outside opportunity, there's a chance that the U.S. and other regional players will still have to stay in a high state of readiness because the attack could come and still may come regardless of the outcome. So nothing really has changed. We're just basically taking a breath, a pause. The alert is still on, high alert.
Suddenly, this decision for 75 states is quite important given it is only the starting of the year. What is your take on this matter? What is your comment that the US State Department is suddenly blocking almost 75 countries' citizens who may want to immigrate to the United States? I want to understand from Norman before I can come in the studio.
Yes, the Trump administration and the State Department has decided to change policy. The policy is basically 75 countries who are currently being evaluated for visas has been paused. The point is basically the Trump administration believes that this visa system has been used as a point of abuse, and right now everything is on pause, on hold right now, and nothing will be processed for at least 75 countries, more to come regarding visas. So right now, nothing's going to happen in terms of processing. As you know, the world is in a state of siege right now, and the United States is evaluating who they want to come into the country, and if so, under what conditions.
European nations are set to send troops to Greenland as US annexation threats are escalating. Several NATO countries are deploying small numbers of military personnel to Greenland to participate in a joint exercise with Denmark, of course, in the lieu of US President and his threats to forcibly annex the Arctic island. Of course, this declaration to have thrown Europe's decades-old US-led security alliance into crisis. I'm of course talking about NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. I want to get the remarks from Norman Floyd Barnes upon this very issue.
Yes, thank you again. The deployment of NATO uh, military resources to Iceland is taking place as we speak. There are several representatives, military representatives currently in Greenland, and additional resources are pending. This is all in an attempt to sway and influence and impact Donald Trump's decisions about the annexation of Greenland. However, it is very clearly stated that the Trump administration, particularly the president, believes that Denmark and NATO has inadequate resources and abilities to secure Greenland in a manner in which he sees fit. So the official version is that the United States is moving towards the acquisition of Greenland, and anything except for a total acquisition by the United States will be considered unacceptable. So, in the big picture, uh, Greenland is an area which the United States feels is a strategic location for the control of the Western Hemisphere, and the United States do not believe that any NATO or any other countries can provide sufficient security for this vast amount of land. This land is basically, in terms of looking at context, is 3 times the size of the state of California, which is our largest state. So they feel, the government here feels that NATO is too far away, and their interest is not the same as the United States. So right now they're trying to do a diplomatic compromise. They're looking to do a cash proposal, but militarily they have resources that they can deploy. And actually, there's almost 700 troops already there, stationed there at the bases there. But the goal is still the same. the acquisition and annexation of Greenland into the United States.
I want to quote Donald Trump for you. He said in a quote, "We need Greenland for national security. We are going to see what happens." Then he also said, "If we don't go in, Russia will go in and China will go in, and there is nothing that Denmark can do about it. But we can do everything." So, this comment that he's continuously bringing in Russia and China on regarding issues of Iran, issues of Greenland, and continuously battering them with these rhetorics. Of course, Donald Trump and his administration has moved away from almost 66 institutions from the United Nations. I want your vibes regarding this fact, because he is a firm believer that Denmark cannot protect Greenland. Norman Floyd Barnes.
Oh, yes, thank you for the question. Yes, in fact, the president has publicly stated that he do not feel that Denmark has the resources to provide the necessary security in his mind to defend that region against the influx of Russia and China. Uh, so upon his mind and his thinking, he will not be comfortable with anything less than a total United States occupation. So I don't believe Denmark and even the NATO can change his mind regarding this matter. There's reasons that he feel this way. It's not publicly known, but he has a plan. The land, the resources, and the space uh, for the United States America First purposes.
Is fighting the Russian advances, in which Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that he will declare a state of emergency for the energy sector due to extreme weather conditions and Russian strikes that have left much of Kiev and the nation without power. This is a trying time because it is winter in these European nations. I want to come to Norman Floyd Barnes. What are your updates regarding the Russia-Ukraine war? Because any kind of annexation on Greenland would weaken NATO, weaken the solidarity amongst the nations. And of course, one cannot forget the fact that Russia is also on the offensive regarding Ukraine. I want to understand how you felt about it. First with Norman Floyd Barnes, and then I will come back into the studio.
Yes, you basically stated exactly one of the compelling arguments is that the Trump administration believes that NATO has enough on their plate right now dealing with Russia. The war in Europe is still going on. Russia plan is moving forward. The weather and the ability to bomb and use drones and to continue attack is showing a end to the means. Basically, they feel that the war in Ukraine is close to ending, and their quest for the European theater, the control of that, is also being um, realize. They realize that they now have an opportunity to not just control Ukraine, but basically have an impact on the entire European Union. With that said, NATO has to build up its resources and defenses to counter or at minimum balance the European conquest goals of Russia. So they here in the United States believes that that NATO can't do two fronts at the same time. They have to deal with the impending issues with Russia, and they can't basically guard and provide the support necessary for Greenland. And the United States, with its new policy of Western first, the Western Hemisphere, they believe that they're in a position basically to best provide the adequate security for the United States here, and allow the NATO groups to basically deal with Russia in Europe. So That is what the strategy is right now. NATO, of course, said that they can do both. They are committed to doing this, but the resources and things are moving forward, particularly with Ukraine and the Baltic area has brought questions to the United States of NATO ability and the impact of it without as much U.S. leadership. The leadership of the United States is going to revert back to the western part, which leaves and expose any type of risks for NATO. So NATO has to build itself back up, particularly dealing with European issues and not Western Hemisphere issues.